all right. Hello, and welcome to iShine Podcast. I am your host, A-Love, Angela Lewis. I am so excited to be here. You guys know when we come on, we have the most amazing, the most phenomenal, the most fabulous guests who show up to tell us what they're out here doing in the world to make an impact, to be an influence, and to show up and shine. So my guest today is no different. I'm very excited because she and I have been talking, and she is just getting ready to blow your minds with what she is doing. She is out here getting ready to really just bring some things together and help us to really tap into some things that we've been experiencing. And in actuality, I told her it's a whole movement. Her brand is out here making a huge difference. So when you listen to what she's talking about, you're going to know exactly what I mean. But I want to first and foremost say hello and welcome to all of our guests. Listen, we are on multiple platforms. So let me shout out to the ladies of the CEO district. Hello. Let me know that you are on. Let me know where you're from. Put your name on the broadcast so we can say hello. I see Tab. Hey, Mr. Buy Candles. How are you, beautiful? Thanks for tuning in. I know we are also broadcasting on the iShine podcast and magazine page. We are on the A&M Publishing and Productions YouTube. We are on the I Am a Woman Empowered page, the I Am Angela Lewis page. So listen, we are all over social media today. So if you are seeing the broadcast, do us a favor, share it out. Tag your friends, your family, let them know because the amazing coach, Cynthia Marie, is here. And I want them, y'all, if nothing else, but to just see how beautiful she is, honey. She is up here looking like royalty. So I want you guys to tap in and get connected. And let's go ahead and get started because I don't want to waste any more time. So, Cynthia Marie, how are you today, beautiful?
I am wonderful. How about yourself?
Fantastic. I am so glad that you are here and I have the opportunity to tap your brain and let you share with us, what you're out here doing. So listen, y'all, I told Cynthia before the broadcast started because I have her bio, read it, and listen, she is just so amazing. I don't even want to read the bio. I want you to hear from her mouth what she's doing, what she has going on, where she's from, and all of that. So, Cynthia, can you please share with the audience who you are?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia Marie, Coach Cynthia Marie. I am from a small town up in upstate New York called Newburgh, New York, where I just love to visit because that's my town. I'm also a life coach for grief and depression and relationship. I'm a new author of A Rise to Royalty, which is an anthology, and my story is You Don't Have to Stay There. Um, I'm also a licensed cosmetologist slash cosmetologist teacher. And I started my journey straight out of high school being a cosmetology. I started like really bootlegging in the house, just doing hair, doing friends' hair, and doing my family hair. And I went to beauty school the first time around. I went to Wilford Academy in New Jersey, and I did not finish because of life circumstances. Growing up thinking that you know more than what you don't know. Don't
We
want to
all
listen to
been there,
right,
done that.
right. Don't want to listen to the parent, thinking that you know more than them. So I ended up
Mhm.
falling out and, falling back and, started doing some, ins and out jobs because I was never happy because that was not my destiny. So I ended up going back to school in 2007 and
Mhm.
I ended up no before that I do believe but whatever I did finish. I did accomplish that goal that I started out. So later on that as years passed, my mom, she got sick and I started to be her caregiver.
Mhm.
And being a caregiver for my mom is when I realized that the caregiver is neglected
Mm.
because all of the focus is on the person that is sick. And during that time, I realized that, I want to be able to help other caregivers because we need a break.
Yeah.
You need a support system. If you don't have a support system, it's very tough. Very, very tough. I thank
Mhm.
God that He allowed me to have a support system. I had some sisters that kicked in. I had a brother and a sister that kicked in, and a sister in Virginia that kicked in when she came home. And so years later, I opened up a salon. I had a salon for 5 years, and that was an experience because the name of my salon was called Main Blessings, but it was not just a salon. That that shop was a place where people came just to sit in the presence of God. I had
Hmm.
so many people just want to come and sit in the shop just because of the presence that lived there in that shop. And it was just ordained by God that how I even got the shop, because I was not even thinking about opening a shop. But God will remind you of your goals. By the time I had it on a piece of paper, by the time I was 40, I wanted to own a shop. I wanted my beauty salon. And I'm telling you, I was in the shower because God speaks to me a lot when I'm in the shower.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess it's the running water like rain.
Right, right.
So, and he told me open a shop, and I'm like, God, I don't have no money. I don't have no money to do that. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking you for money. You got favor. Go open a shop. So
Mm.
I was able to open it. I was able to get the money to open it from a good friend of mine. And I tell you, I opened it. There was a pioneer in my hometown. We call her Granny Annie, and I would go do her hair sometimes. And when she passed away, and when her son found out that I was opening a shop, he gave me her chair, and he gave me her dryer and a sink. And
Wow.
that's what I opened the shop with. I had a big shop with just one dryer, one one wicker chair, and a sink. But let me tell you, because I worked for J.C. Penney's for years, the manager there heard that I opened the shop, and she called me one day, and this is how I know that this is what God told me to do. Is
Mhm.
she called me and she told me that they were remodeling, and I heard you open the shop. I need you to come here, and whatever you need, you can have.
Wow. So let's pause right there because I want them to kind of take this thing on in because you have said some powerful things. Let's first go back to the fact that you were had a passion for cosmetology. And so
Yes,
I know when I was reading your bio, you were saying that your passion was to make people look and feel good.
yes.
And that's a really a big thing, for a lot of people. A lot of times we focus on the outside. We focus on,
Mm-hmm.
getting the hair done and being beautiful on the outside and, all of that. But you wanted people not only to look good, but you wanted them to feel good. And so
Yes.
I think that's really important because again, yes, Kelly said, that's powerful. So thank you, Kelly, for being on. We appreciate it. Kiki Stewart, thank you. She said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important when you think about a person who cares more, not just the exterior, but you're also in the inside of a person. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
understand that, you know that your purpose is really large, because you're tapping into something
Mm-hmm.
just more than surface. So when you speak about, really taking care of your mom, I know that we talked about, the power of being a caretaker and the pressure that's on you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, especially now with the pandemic, we found ourselves, taking care of siblings, taking care of parents, taking care of
Mm-hmm.
children, taking care of, extended family members because so much is going on. And when the COVID hit, a lot of people got sick. And so you put
Right.
yourself in a position to take care of someone. And if they had underlying conditions, it just made it that much more
Yes.
stressful because you just didn't know. And so I
Right.
want you to kind of let's break down a little bit. When we talk about caregivers, can you share really how important it is when you're in that position for self-care? Because as you're taking care of somebody else, how are you taking care of who is looking out for you?
That's a good question, because like I said, you got to have a support team, because if you
Mhm.
don't have a support team, you're not going to be able to get a breather. There's I had aides to come in. the home health aide to come in. And I went through so many of them because I was just anal, because this is my mom you're talking about. I need
Right.
you to make sure you're doing A, B, C, and D. And if you're
Mhm.
not, then you're not the one for me here in this house. So
Yeah.
you have to get you a team, because when the A's are all gone and it's just you two there, how you going to get out to go get your hair done? How you going to get
Mhm.
out just to go for a walk in the park, just to recoup, so that you're able
Yeah.
to handle what is really going on right there in your house. So
Mhm.
I was able to get that team, and not for a while I wasn't, and it was really rough. I had a lot of breakdowns
Yeah.
because I didn't. First of all, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any children, so I didn't really know how to change Pampers. So
Mm.
that's very important, because you have to
Mhm.
learn how to do it. I didn't know how to give insulin. I had to be taught how to do these things.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to do this. And you also have to have a listening ear, because when they call you, my mother had a very soft voice. If you weren't
Mhm.
tuned in, you would not hear her. So
Yeah.
all of those things are very important for you to know, and to have that support system. I cannot say that enough, to make sure you have a support system so that you can get a breather, so you could go to the movies, so that you could go to dinner. If you have to go by yourself, it's still
Mhm.
self-care.
Yeah.
So I was able to get that, after a while, and I thank God for him sending me assistance, because he told us that he would never leave us alone.
Come on. And what I'm picking up, and I want to kind of share and kind of point out to a lot of people, as a caregiver, you just said so many little things that people probably take for granted or think that, it's no big deal, but it is. Being able to have a listening ear, that's a skill set.
Yeah.
Being able to know how to give medications, that's a skill set. See, a lot of times
Hmm.
people think, oh, you're just taking care of mama, or you taking care of daddy or whatever. And they think that it's no big deal to, just get them up and fix some breakfast or whatever. But
Right.
it's so much more to it than that.
Hmm.
And so for people who are currently caregivers, have been caregivers, shout out to you for standing in the gap. Because
Hmm.
when you think about being able to really stay there, when you think about being able to have to give of yourself, because a lot of times it is frustrating. If you look at anyone who's in a facility, you have to really
Hmm.
step up, because a lot of times they're not giving good care there. So when you are taking that responsibility on at your own home, it's a
Hmm.
lot, because still have your life. You still have your own bills. You still have your own things that you need to take care of. You got to make sure
Hmm.
your health is good, because you can't go down when you're taking care
Right.
of somebody else.
That's
So
correct.
for everybody who feels like, oh, it's no big deal, yes, it's a huge deal.
It's
And for
very
you,
huge there.
yes, and if you got, and somebody said powerful, thank you for bringing awareness to this. For those people who are out there, and if you got siblings or friends or family members who are caregivers, check on them, because just
Yes.
as they are providing a service to the person they love, they need to be poured into. They need somebody to surprise them with a meal
Hmm.
sometimes, or just an opportunity, like you said, to go walk around a block and get some fresh air. You don't
Yes.
know what small services can make a difference to somebody when they are faced with that, because it's not fun seeing somebody that you love deteriorate in front of your eyes. It's not
That's
fun
right.
when they're upset or irritated or fussing and they're taking it out on you, and you don't have an outlet to release that. So I just want people to, really kind of think about, people who are caregivers, because it's a very, very important very, very important service that you're doing. And for you, to be able to shed a little light on that, I greatly appreciate it, because I think it needs to be put out there of how important that is. And can you share a little bit about, just the mind space that, because I believe you shared a little bit about when you were going through some things, even becoming a
Even
life coach, how that helped you.
Yes, and even when when going through it all, when the person transitions, you also have to remember that you are on a routine. You
Mm,
are on a routine. Your life is not your own.
yeah.
So when you hear that song, "My life is not my own," your life really is not your own. You really have to depend on God, because now, the person has went on. From my mom, she passed 2 months to the date that we found out about her diagnosis.
Mm.
So it was very devastating for me. So I stayed in depression for 2 years.
Yeah.
So because my mind will not let me, go further than the surface of where I was at in my routine. So now I have to change my routine, because now I got a lot of freedom. What am I
Yeah.
going to do with all this free time?
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to find a job, because I was no longer working. Now I have to find a job. Um, I'm not a person who could find a job, because I'm a hairstylist. So I could go on these people's jobs, and I'm not going to give it my 100%, because that's not what I want to do. So, but
Yeah.
I had to do that in order to pay the bills. But what I found out is that I couldn't do it, and I couldn't pay my bills. So I ended up homeless.
Mm.
So, and,
Wow.
and, so when you become a caregiver, your life go through a lot of changes. Unless you could afford to do it, you got to really get that support system, so that maybe you can continue to go to work. I couldn't do that, because I
Yes.
was a hairstylist. I was missing appointments, and that wasn't fair to my clients.
Yeah. Especially,
So,
yeah, being an entrepreneur, absolutely. It makes a difference, either way, whether you're trying to clock into a job or like you say, in your
hmm
particular profession, being very hard to try and balance, working with
hmm
clients while you're still trying to take care of your mom. And I see where
hmm
Kelly says, man, I know exactly what that feels like. Caregivers are the most undervalued heroes in
hmm
society. And I definitely believe that, somebody else says your life is not yours as a caregiver. So, I thank you all for showing up and giving your comments as well, because, as Cynthia sharing some, shedding some light on this particular issue, it's really important, to understand that you have to understand the position you're in, but it comes with so much more. You're dealing with taking care of someone, but your life, if you're not prepared, if you don't have, a support system, if you don't, have somebody there that can help you, then it can put you in a position where when the time is over, you don't have anywhere to go, or you don't know what to do. Like you said, transitioning from, what do I do now? I've been used to doing this for so many hours every single day. What does my life look like, and how can I move on? And it's very
hmm
easy to get into depression and have anxiety. Kiki said that
hmm
she was a caregiver for her son for 15 years before he transitioned. Sorry for your loss, Kiki, but thank you for
Yes,
sharing that.
sorry. Yes, yes. And then I had my sister, and I had my brother, and they would take turns like on the weekends. And so they're taking turns on the weekends, but by the time, now it's time for me to take a breather. Not all the time you wanted to leave,
Mm-hmm.
because you are afraid. You don't know when it's going to happen. You know that she's transitioning, but your mindset is like, I really don't want to leave. So what I used to do about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I used to dance.
Mm.
I, I used to,
Okay.
that was therapy for me. I used to just, and I'm not a big dancer, like, I do what I do, but,
Right.
so,
Say just a couple of moves here and there.
just a couple of moves, so I would just put some music on the TV, and I would just dance my heart out. It was just therapy for me. And I would just go through that dancing until I got tired, and then I'll just go to sleep. And I remember this one particular time, my sister was sleeping on the couch, and she looked up and she saw me dancing, and she just laughed. And she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "This is my therapy. This is what I do in the wee hours of the morning. Keep me from laying in my bed crying. I'm
Yeah.
gonna dance it out."
Mm,
Yeah.
that is
So
so good to have that, to even think of that as an outlet, to give yourself just a small piece of fun in the midst of a trying situation. So thank you for sharing that, because there's somebody out there that will be listening to this broadcast and understand that whatever your choice of helping you to get through it, music is great, being able to dance,
mm-hmm.
something fun, because the situation that faces you is a difficult situation when you are,
Yeah.
looking at somebody you love go through some things, but you still need to have a balance, of good times and good things for you while you're doing that.
And yeah, so that's good stuff right there, what you just said. Good stuff.
So let's talk about the book because I know that your chapter. Let's talk about how did you get into the opportunity to be a co-author for the book?
Yes, well, the book "Arise to Royalty." I have it
Mhm.
right here, and
Okay.
It's "Arise to Royalty." My story in this book is you don't have to stay there, and you could go on my website www.utoyoutoyou.biz to purchase this book. And my story is, I met Ilyasa Simpson. I met her in our coaching class, and right
Mm-hmm.
away we just hit it off as sisters. And she began to tell me that she was going to illustrate a book, that she was going to, publish a book. I don't even think that she asked me if I wanted to be in. I think I told her I want to do it with you. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I don't even think she asked me. I think I just told her I want to do this with you, and it's just so crazy is because I actually had You Don't Have to Stay There. I had the title before I even knew what I was going to write about.
Wow.
And I remember I was in a part of North Carolina at my uncle's funeral. And we were there, and God woke me up early that morning before his services. And he told me that that was going to be the name and of the book for my chapter. And
Mhm.
I still didn't have a clue what I was going to write about. And then one day I was just getting my hair done. You know, when you silent, you can hear God, and you can hear his voice clearly when you're silent instead of us always talking. We have
Mhm.
to learn to listen.
Oh, it's good.
We have to learn to listen even when we pray and we say in our prayers, whatever time you say your prayers. After you put in your request, you need to stay there. As long as it took you to put your request in, that's exactly how long you need to stand there in that same spot and wait on him to speak to you.
Mm, that's
So,
good.
yeah, so because we have to listen, we have to learn to hear and discern the voice of God, you know? And he
Right.
began to tell me I took my phone out and I began to write. I began to write, and it's the story of my mom. And I think it was the worst pain I ever endured in my life that he wanted
Mhm.
me to write about, and that gave me freedom.
Oh man, that's good.
It gave me freedom because it no longer holds you bound once you get it out. It does not hold you bound. So I have freedom in my you don't have to stay there.
Mm, that's good. That's good. And shout out to Ilyasa for coming up, with the book and the opportunity, for several people to come and become co-authors in the book.
Mhm.
And for your chapter, you don't have to stay there. And here's Ilyasa now. Hey, Queen, she said, I'm so proud of you, Cynthia Marie.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you,
thank you so
sweetie.
much. But you know what? It is speaking about your chapter, you don't have to stay there. That is what the movement is all about. Because at the end of the
Hmm.
day, we are all in different situations. And a
Hmm.
lot of times we stay longer than we need to. We
Hmm.
stay in places that no longer serve us, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's in depression, whether it's in whatever it is that you're staying in. Um, you don't have to stay there. And that's such a
You don't.
strong and powerful message that you're bringing to the forefront because people need to hear it. Even though you know it, you still manage to stay there, but you don't have to, And once you
Mm-mm.
realize that, it's time to make some changes. It's time to pivot, to
Hmm.
shift, to make some moves. So, how did
Hmm.
you decide that? I'm going to take what I went through in my life and now I'm going to make it a mantra. Now I'm going to make it a mission. Now I'm going to make it a movement. How did you decide to transition it to become something huge like that?
Well, when once I began to write and going through coaching classes, I think the first lesson I learned there was to celebrate yourself.
Mm,
So once I learned how to celebrate myself daily, because it's a daily thing, it's a daily walk. So once
yes.
I learned to celebrate myself daily, and then you don't have to stay there, came into play. I said, you know what, I'm going to put this in different forms as much as I can
Hmm.
because we all need to know you don't have to stay there, whether it's in domestic violence, whether it's on a job that you do not like and you just stand there and because you got to get a pension, and you're miserable, you're driving up to the job every day and hate to get out your car,
Yeah.
when you get ready to go to the job or go in your own home, sometimes you got
Mhm.
anxiety because you don't want to be there. So I'm just here to let you know that I'm Cynthia Marie, and I'm going to tell you all, you don't have to stay there. You can
Mm.
make ways. You make ways to get out, even if it's not exactly what you want. It might not be what you want to do, but sometimes we have to do what we got to do in order to do what we want to do. And
That's so
and I
powerful.
yeah, and I had to learn that. And when I was going through, when I was in the depression, my sisters, they realized it was to a point where I didn't want to live anymore.
Mm.
And and I've never in my life ever had suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
And I never ever wanted to harm myself, but going through this place and being so broken and
Yeah.
not having anything to call my own but my car. And
Mm.
a friend of mine's, we always joke about it. I talk about my car. I said, that's all I got. And
Mm.
we joke about it all. She said, Sid, you said that's all you got. That's all I got is my car. So I have to take care of it because it
Mm.
was mine. So I so doing that, they realized that my sister has always been the strong tower of us. She needs our help. So they got me to move to Virginia. I did not want to move to Virginia. And once you get my book, you'll read all about that, you know, how I got there. But, God saw bigger than me. Like Tasha Cobb said, I don't want to just shout for what's under the tree. I got to
Mm.
shout for what's outside. So what I didn't know was
Um,
outside was God had my husband there waiting for me in
wow.
Virginia.
Okay.
So
But
I
that
got a
speaks so
husband out the
much too
deal.
of sometimes, we afraid. I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that it speaks so much to when people stay somewhere because you're afraid to move on, but you never know what God has for you. Sometimes you've got to move, sometimes you've got to overcome that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just really amazing, for you. And I want to read a little bit what you had in your bio in this section. Said in 2021, Cynthia became a new author. She's a co-author in A Rise to Royalty. Her story is You Don't Have to Stay There, which is turning into a movement. She tells her story of how she overcame depression through her faith in God. Also, now she has tools to help others to overcome. But what I love is that you said, although life is a roller coaster, we can't waste a hurt. We have to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so
Yes.
powerful because what you did was you took your trauma and you turned it into purpose. And that's
Yes.
when you become empowered.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. And that's true because like as we go through, first of all, we always have to remember that everything that we go through, it is not for us. It is always to empower someone else, whether it's a woman or a man.
Mm-hmm.
The you don't have to stay there. I am talking to my husband right now because I need him to jump on this because men need to know that they don't have to stay there too.
Yes. Sometimes we think
Yes.
it's all about women, but yes,
Yeah.
men
It's
need to know
men
the same
too.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because God give us tools. Like he gave me tools like as far as reading self-help books.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me
Yes,
that
ma'am.
tool to do that. He gave me confidence. You got to
Mm-hmm.
have somebody that you could talk to. You got
Amen.
to have somebody that you can talk to that's not going to judge you. Because even
Yeah.
like today, today I am pushing my businesses as much as I can. And, everybody don't see your dream. Everybody don't see
Mm-hmm.
your push. Everybody don't
Mm-hmm.
see your drive. So, and if
Um,
just like you walked off your job because you knew that God had something better for you. You knew that you didn't have to stay there, right?
right,
So
right.
even when you tell people that, they in their silence, they laughing, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in their silence because you catch them off guard. It's like, no, I quit my job. I retired. Or I'm not going to work. I'm going to work what God gave me to work. Their silence, you know that they're laughing. They're thinking, she crazy.
Right.
She's crazy. She needs to
Right,
go get a job.
exactly.
She needs to be
Exactly.
no, I don't. Because I know what God told me. What he told
And
me.
that's
He
such
told
a
me,
beautiful
yeah,
thing. It's such a beautiful thing to have faith enough to know
yes.
that you deserve more. Ilyasa said, honey, yes, that part, absolutely. When you have the faith to understand that God has designed you for something more,
Mm-hmm.
there is greatness, but you just have to trust the process. And see, sometimes
Trust it.
people get caught up. And I saw a post somebody did earlier today about, you get so caught up in making $40,000 a year that you don't even recognize the possibility that you can make $40,000 in a month. It's people
There
out
you
here
go.
who do that, but you got to shift your mindset. So you can't stay there. Like you said, you can't stay stuck
You can't
with
stay there.
people who have small thinking. You have got to get
Mhm.
yourself around people who believe in a big God, because we serve a big God and he can do
That's
all
right.
things. And so
Mm-hmm.
in saying that, I know that you made a comment, or you were referencing something on your page about, we got to understand that just because we have resources, that's nothing, because you got to tap into the source. That's God.
That's right.
So who
That's
brought you
mm-hmm.
to your faith? Which family member? Was it a grandmother or your mother? Who brought you to this good faith in God like that?
Yeah, my mother, she raised us all in church. But, you know, once, you get raised in church, but when you get older, you get reintroduced to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in 2004, I had started going to Bible class and then learning Jesus for myself, learning who
Yeah.
God was for myself, to getting that personal relationship. Because I
Mm-hmm.
had got baptized when I was a kid, I need to get baptized again because now I fully understand why I'm getting baptized.
Oh,
So
yes.
once I did that, my whole life changed. I was shacking up, living with a man. And I
Mm-hmm.
tell you, I went to a conference and God spoke to me. That's when he gave me the gift of speaking in tongues on that mountain. And he told me, you got to leave him. And I straight up had a conversation with God, like, why? Why I got to leave him? That man is good to me and we love each other. Just
Right.
talking to God because he's my friend. I could talk to him like that.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me, you got to leave that man. I cried all the way home because I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh no, what is this? What's going on here? But
Mm-hmm.
because God knew, he knew he was a good man, but he wasn't good for you. He's unequally yoked for you. So it
Oh,
took me a
see.
year. It took me a year to do it. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
it took me a whole year. I went back to that same conference and he told me again, didn't I tell you
Mm-hmm.
to leave him? I
Mm.
went home that time. I went home. When I went home, I had my spiritual mom to come in my house with me and anoint up my house. And I said, because I can't do this by myself because
Yeah.
this man didn't do nothing to me.
Right.
But listen how God is. When I came back, I left and I went to my mom's house and I told my mom what I have to do. And I said, Mommy, I don't know if I'm going to have to move back home. I don't know where God is taking me. All I know is that I want to live holy. And
Mm.
she said, whatever it takes, whatever you need, I'm here for you. I went back home. I was in a choir. I was in a community choir, and I went to the rehearsal. I knew it was too late for me to get up there and practice. I just wanted to be in the presence of God. So I went there, and then I went back home. He was home when I got home, and he he saw my face when I walked in, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I began to tell him, "This is how God is." That man said to me, I cannot compete with God. Give me some time to move and I will move because I knew your walk when I met you. But
Wow.
and I know that, with my obedience to with what God said, then he was able to move me. I was able to get a closer relationship with him and
Mhm.
understand the difference from my resource and my source.
Amen. I'm so glad you
Hmm.
shared that, because for a lot of people, number one, going back to what you said earlier, you got to be able to have an ear to hear, and that requires you being
Hmm.
still, to be able to discern, because the word says that, my sheep know my voice. And so
Yes.
you can't know it if you're busy, if you're distracted, if you're moving, if you're not focused. Number two, you said that not only did I know him when I was a child, I had to learn him for myself when I became an adult. That's important because a lot of times people
Mm-hmm.
don't realize and stand on their own when it comes to their relationship with God. You got to know him for yourself. It doesn't matter what your mama said or your grandmama said or your daddy said. You got to have your own relationship, and you've got to understand how you got to be in constant communication in order to
Mm-hmm.
trust him when he tells you the things you really don't want to hear. Because most of the time, our flesh is weak all the time. Our flesh is weak.
Yeah.
And we want to do what we want to do. So when God tells us something we don't want to do, we want to act brand new. Like, well, I'm good. That ain't probably what he ain't said because I know he told me that he's a good man. But like
Right.
like you said, just because he was good doesn't mean that's God's best for you. See, we got to, honey, we got to really understand as we mature that everything that looks good is not good for you.
Right.
Everything that you think is good, God has something so much more better for us, but we got to release. See, when you hold on tight, you can never get his greatness. When you hold on
Mm-hmm.
tight, you can never get to that next level. You got to release some
Mm-hmm.
things that you think are good in order for him to bring you his best. And
Mm-hmm.
so, baby, you have, honey, showed out tonight with this good word for us. I appreciate you dropping these gems because I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
obedience is better than sacrifice.
It is.
It
It
is.
is
Even though it
all
took you
day.
a year, it's okay because God knows, you know what I'm saying? He knows it's a struggle for us. You know, it's not going to be,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very few people who can probably just drop it and stop right there. For a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, we got to bump our head. We got to take a little time. We got to kind of look like, God, are you sure? I, God, let me make sure I heard you right. Let me make sure it wasn't just me. But when you finally get it and you
Mm-hmm.
operate like you're supposed to, the
Mm-hmm.
blessings just keep coming and coming and coming.
Mm-hmm. And and just being obedient and like you said, and sacrificing because I cried a lot, thinking like, oh my God, I'm losing my best friend, and
Mhm.
not knowing that you don't have to be in a relationship with someone physical to have a friendship.
Yeah, true.
If that opposite sex respects who you are, you could still be friends.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave every relationship on bad terms.
Mhm.
And
Right.
as you mature, you understand that. But I thank God because then he was able, because I was able to build that relationship with him. Look how he's blessing me. He now blessed me to have you to you.
Mhm.
You to you is my hair care product line. And I'm telling you, my hair care product line does what it says it's going to do. And I made sure of that because it took me a while. I started in my kitchen making
Mhm.
my product, and then I was able to find a manufacturer to make it for me now.
Come on.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the trusting of the process,
Hmm.
that you have to stay in, even when it's a struggle, even when you don't see what's going on, even when you don't know where it's going to come from. You've got to just continue to trust the process.
Hmm. You do. You really do. And it's not always in black and white, like right there in your face. Sometimes you got to go through the colors. You got to go
Mhm.
through the colors of hurt. You got to go through the colors of worrying. But just keep your faith. If I can't stress that enough, keep your faith and always know whatever situation you in, you don't have to stay there.
Mm, I'm telling you, this is going to be such a powerful movement, and out of, like you say, your pain and the trauma and the struggle came your purpose and came this movement. Because I believe that as we continue to share what we've been through, is to give somebody else permission to know you don't have to stay in the mess that you're in. You don't have to stay in the drama that you're in. You don't have to stay
Hmm.
in a dead end job, a bad relationship. You don't have to stay in, if you're overweight and you're unhappy with how you look, you don't have to stay there. It's so
Right.
many
You
things that
don't.
you got, from small things to big things.
Mm,
It's the same mantra. You don't have to stay there. You've got to
You
make a
don't.
choice to get better, to want better and do better, and then
Mm,
just do it. be obedient to that. So tell me what is going on next. What do you have coming up? I know you got something coming up here pretty soon. So tell us about
I
that.
do. I'm actually having my first brunch, my royalty brunch, because again,
Yes.
the book is a rise to royalty. So I'm
Mhm.
having a royalty brunch, and I have some dynamic speakers coming. I have three. Oh my, when I tell you these ladies, they are ready to let you know you don't have to stay there.
Come
Let me tell
on.
you. So it is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I
Okay.
live.
Hmm.
And it's going to be November 13th at 10 o'clock. And I didn't put an end time on there because we have some hours to know to figure out if you don't know that you don't have to stay there.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's good.
I have that coming up, and in January I have a another brunch, and it's the take off the mask brunch. Since it's the beginning of
Oh,
the year, it's a take off
yes.
the mask brunch because you don't have to stay there.
That's
And
good.
yes, and then in April I have a conference coming up, and yeah, and that conference is going. It's a retreat in
Oh, that's
April.
nice. That's nice.
Yes, it's a
Yes,
retreat.
yes,
So.
nice. Yes, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And let me just say this, Cynthia, while you're talking, for those people who are aspiring authors, when I tell you that a lot of times people, do books and they don't really think about, the chapters. But I always say a book is an opportunity. It's like a business card. It's an opportunity for you to take whatever it is that you're a subject matter expert in, whatever it is about your story. But it's bigger than just that chapter. And Cynthia is living proof. She's taken her story and she's created a concept of you don't have to stay there. And now she's transitioning it into brunches, into conferences, into retreats, into workshops, into things that would take it even further. And there's so many even product lines I'm sure that you've even considered, based on you don't have to stay there. So
Mm-hmm.
don't underestimate the power of using your voice because number one, let's go back to what you said earlier. Even in writing it, it helped you to heal. It helped you to,
Yes.
deal with the things that you were going through and overcome it. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
benefit there. But then from there, God gave her a concept that now she can take that can become global, international, because all over the world, people are dealing with situations where they don't have to stay there. And if that message becomes clear, if that message can be, given to the next person, you share it and say, listen, you're there because you want to be, because you don't have to stay. It's all in the decision. Just make it and don't look back. And if you can do
Mm-hmm.
that, imagine how much happier you are. You can be.
Yes.
Imagine how many more of your dreams that you can actually
Mm-hmm.
fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you stay stuck, it's never going to happen. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there about how just you writing a chapter, how that has just blossomed up to a movement that will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger because God is breathing on it.
He is, and he really is. And I even like going through a depression and then going into, you go into a depression, then but you're gonna come out of that depression. You're gonna get back into the happy place. But while you're going through these different seasons, you gotta really know what season you're in.
That's good.
You gotta really know what season you're in, and you can't be afraid to ask for help. You can't be afraid to ask for help. And anybody that's on this line right now, I am here for you, Coach Cynthia. I am here and on my website, the www.youtoyou.biz. I have my coaching sessions, and the prices is on there. The consultation is on there. If you need someone to talk to, don't be afraid. Don't be shamed, because we as a culture is always thinking, I don't need a
Mhm.
therapist. Yes,
Right.
you do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. I need a coach. You need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. A
Mhm.
coach needs a coach. And everybody needs a coach, because everybody needs somebody to keep them straight, to keep their mind from going over in the left field when you're supposed to be in right. So
Mhm.
if we just learn to appreciate the space that we're in, whether it's good or bad, you still have to appreciate where you at.
That's good.
Yeah, because if
That's
you don't, it'll just see you spiraling,
mhm.
and then you'll just find yourself repeating the same mistakes over and over. I was there. I repeated the same mistakes over and over and over. Found myself in a place where I shouldn't have been in because I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, but I got it, and I thank God for it. Because
Amen.
he told,
Amen.
yeah, and he told us that, we're heirs. We're heirs. We come from
Yes.
a priesthood, a royal priesthood, you
Yes.
know. So we keep our eyes on that prize, and then he's going to give us all the gifts that we need. And always remember, I can't stress it enough. You don't have to stay there.
That's
You got it.
awesome. That is so
Mm-hmm.
good. And I'm so glad you shared all that information. And for those out there, the gems that she has dropped, the things that she has said, she's really, given some good information from being a cosmetologist to dealing with being a caregiver to trusting God for the process to being obedient. In making a sacrifice, even when she didn't want to, to developing a hair care product, to developing a movement, all of these things. Coach Cynthia Marie, reach out to her, go to her website. It's going across the screen now, www.youtoyou.biz, in order to connect with her. Like she said, everybody needs a coach, and I love it when you said when you're out of left field and you're supposed to be in right, you need somebody to help bring you back to where you
Yeah.
need to be. And I love that. Yes, because
Mm-hmm.
baby, sometimes, honey, we'll be all over somewhere, honey, way out in the wrong place, and we need somebody
Right.
to get back. Listen, now you know you
Right.
know better. Now you
Right.
know better.
Right.
And
We
saying
all
that,
need it.
look,
Right. We all need a human GPS, right?
yes, exactly. So to be like,
Listen,
boo, now you know better. Get on over here and do what you're supposed to be
right.
doing. So
Yeah.
yes. And I tell you,
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing when you got somebody who is like you, who is compassionate and non-judgmental. Because a lot of times, people are ashamed, of some of the things they've
Mhm.
been through. But when you've got
Mhm.
somebody who understands that, is not trying to judge you, just wants to help you to go from being where you are to being even better, then trust that and connect with her, because like she said, she has dealt with some different things that has brought her to where she is now,
Yes.
and that is in a place of power to be able to tell you you don't have to stay there. If you don't get anything else from this broadcast, know that you don't have to stay
You
there.
don't.
And if you need
Yes.
somebody to help you, connect with Coach Cynthia Marie, because I'm telling you, she graduated from the ICU Coaching Academy, so
Yes.
she's certified. So
Mhm.
congratulations on all of
Yes.
your accomplishments.
Thank you.
I know that it's going to be even bigger things ahead. The royalty brunch is coming up. You said November the
13th.
13th. Okay. So
Yes.
make sure you all look out for that. Go on the website, get her book, read her chapter along with the other amazing co authors. And Cynthia, is there anything else you want to leave the audience with tonight before we go?
Well, I do thank you, Angela, for inviting me to the show, and to all the listeners out there and the ones that will be doing the replay. I just want to let you know that, although we walk through the shadows of death, meaning that although our past is always there, we don't have to relive it all the time. You have to go through it because God said He's always there. He walks with you. And
Mm,
He lets you know that although you have a table with your enemies, He's there, He's present. The Psalms 23 has always been my life, even when I was hanging out at the clubs and before I go to bed at night, I always read it. I read it and did not even know what I was reading, but it was keeping me covered and rooted. And I stand by it today because although I walk through the shadows of death, meaning my past,
mm-hmm.
God is with me. And
Always with you.
He's always with us, and He lets us know that you don't have to stay there.
Amen. Oh my God. I love this was such a great interview. I really enjoyed talking with you, Cynthia. And like I said, I am so excited. You all make sure you stay and follow Cynthia Marie, Coach Cynthia Marie. to see what she's doing, to see where this movement is going, because I'm telling you, God is taking her major places. And if you need some hair care products, y'all, she already told you she got somebody doing some things for us. So listen, check out the website to how you can connect with her to get the book, to get some hair care products, to find out about the royalty brunch, to find out, about this movement. Everything is there. www.youtoyou.biz.
Yes.
Again, thank you all for tuning in. If you're on a replay, make sure you hashtag us and make sure you follow Coach Cynthia Marie, because she is going to be a name that you're going to be hearing a whole lot more of as God is elevating her
Yes.
and doing even more things than what we see right now. So thank you again, Cynthia, for being here with me. I very much appreciate it, because you are definitely shining out here in these streets, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You
I
are
shine, you
welcome.
shine.
I shine, you shine. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy
All
the
right.
rest of your
Take
night, and
care.
we will see you next week. All right. Y'all be blessed.
Take care now.